We have the pleasure of interviewing Douglas Rowell, president and co-chair of Adweek, which is one of the most iconic, if not the most, platforms in the advertising industry and marketing industry. You have several events. I know you have the one in New York, 20,000 people.
Yep.
So we actually are also partly event organizers. I'm very curious about a lot of things.
Sure.
In a big organization like yours, how are you dynamic enough in terms of the logistics to adapt to different scenarios and, sponsor requests and so on?
So it's a good question. And as you know, from working in the event space, part of being adaptable, changes in the market, is also being on top of your insights and trends. So a lot of times before we enter a year, like we did in 2025, we try to understand what our sponsor partners will be most interested in. So we tend to look and say, okay, this will be a year of activations, right? Or this will be a year of thought leadership, or this might be a year of special events. Example being with the World Cup coming up in Mexico, it's going to be a heavy year of special events.
But also for Adweek.
For Advertising Week as well, because it's a once in a generation event to have the World Cup hosted in your country. So when we look at logistics, we first figure out where the trends will be for the event that year, who are the best partners that can support those trends, whether it's thought leadership, activation, programming, or special events. And then from there, like any event company, we create an approach to an RFP and we start to develop it so it caters to what we know our clients will need in that specific year.
So a lot of foresight and insight.
Insight, strategy, trend analysis.
Another question is, I know Emerald has a lot of verticals, marketing being one of them, but I know you're in different industries, jewelry.
Everywhere, 200 different industries.
Do you gain best practices for each of the...
Oh, absolutely. I would say, Advertising Week's a very specific type of event. I say we feel more like a festival. Like I would say in the way that we have the exposition, we have the lounges where we have, people can get drinks. There's a restaurant, there's a rap party, there's comedy hours, all these things. So it's like a mini South by Southwest.
Right.
Is how I would think about Advertising Week. Whereas, Emerald has a lot of traditional exposition events that are very specific to industry verticals.
It's because in the advertising industry, what you sell is almost intangible, right?
Yeah,
it can't give you
exactly. But we've had this amazing relationship with Emerald where we've been able to get tons of learnings on what works about centralizing capabilities, the trends and analysis, finding greater efficiencies on how we approach setting up inventory. So I think there's always something to learn, to the extent that even we have a really strong global programming team for our event. And, we get amazing talent across the globe to come to all the advertising weeks. So now we work with other Emerald events to help them. So I think there's a lot of crossover and support that is really been the good thing about joining the Emerald family.
Interesting. Yeah, because can you tell a little bit about the history of Adweek? It was sold to Emerald, right?
Yeah.
So one of the beginning.
So I've been with Advertising Week almost since the very beginning. So Advertising Week, the event, was founded in 2004. It was put together by Matt Schechner, who was our chairman and founder, the visionary of the event, along with his partner Lance Pillersdorf. And that came out of a relationship with the 4As, which is a major organization in the US. And they built that from the ground up over 20 years into this global event. I became a partner and launched Advertising Week Latam. My wife is from Mexico, so I have a 30-year business relationship and familial relationship, personal relationship. So we launched that, but it grew to, 6 locations globally, and we had it in Japan, we had it in APAC, Sydney, South Africa, London, New York, and Mexico. But now we're also looking at the Middle East and expanding there and just growing. Matt was definitely the visionary who put it together, and Lance was definitely the guy who made things happen. They were a great team.
Emerald bought it.
Then in 2022, because we're on our 3rd year since the Emerald buyout. Emerald bought in 2022, and we became part of the Emerald global family, and we've just been scaling and growing ever since. Yeah.
What advice would you give event planners, marketing, experiential marketers, which this is sort of a form of, going into 2026?
Well, what I would say going into 2026, I think one of the most important things is look at the trends with AI and what's happening, right? I would say where events can separate themselves is the experience. I would say double down on your experience, double down on your client service. Everything else will fall into place. But if you understand your client's needs, if you understand how to create a unique experience and an engaging experience, you will win.
And that when you talk about experience, are you referring particularly to in person?
In person.
You're talking in person.
I'm talking in
Not a
person.
digital experience.
No.
Right.
I think in person is everything right now. That is what separates, like, why do an event? If you're a brand or a platform, why do you do an event? Because there are plenty of ways to get reach now across digital, across SDR campaigns, across you name it. But what you can't do is make that human connect that reinforces your brand equity and reminds people what they enjoy about your brand and the experience, right? That's in person. That's irreplaceable.
And it seems almost like the ascent of digital has reinforced and grown the in-person event.
Absolutely beneficial for us. I have seen live events and in-person events more in demand now than ever before.
Than ever before. In your career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In the 20 plus years, this has been way stronger than any previous year.
If you're in the sales, on the sales side, you don't want to have a Zoom call. Ideally, you want to see the person in person, right? So that's very much.
Yeah. And I do think it's a fine balancing act between using these tools to help you operationalize and optimize your pipeline. But, human relationships are the key to most sales being successful. Expectation management, understanding the vision of your client. All those things are incredibly valuable. The same way they're invaluable to the live event, they're invaluable to your sales teams.
Your own sales teams in your organization
correct.
in Adweek, per se, I have one more question. So, and what challenges, if any, do you see?
I would say geopolitical turmoil is real. Especially in an event that sits on the border of the U.S., and has a relationship, having some kind of, understanding of how to manage some of the political challenges that will come up between countries during tariff wars and different things is important. I think as well as events are doing, as exciting as it is for Mexico with the World Cup, we do have to be mindful of an economy that is pretty bumpy. Just with the flex between the Magnificent Seven and AI kind of skyrocketing the stock market, the downward pressure maybe of global tariffs and what those do to economies.
And the economy, you meant the U.S. economy or Mexico?
Well, here's the thing, right? At the end of the day, we live in a global world now.
Right.
So we're not in a place where isolationism works anymore, right? So what happens to Mexico affects the U.S. It affects, Canada. We're trade partners.
Right.
So all these things are intertwined. So I think just balancing and understanding and being mindful of that in your planning is going to be very important in the next couple of years.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marcos. I appreciate it. Yeah.